We start in Somalia, where hundreds of Ethiopian troops have reportedly arrived to boost the offensive against al-Shabaab. Residents in towns along the border say they saw at least 30 vehicles carrying heavily armed soldiers crossing into Somalia late on Tuesday. Ethiopia already has thousands of troops stationed in Somalia as a part of the African Union mission, AMISOM. The Somali government and its AU allies are preparing for a large-scale offensive against al-Shabaab. It follows a string of deadly attacks in Mogadishu. Meanwhile, ahead of the operation, top government officials and leaders of Somalia's federal member states are meeting to resolve political differences related to the recent Qatar diplomatic dispute. Well, let's get you more on the offensive against al-Shabaab. CGTN's Abdulaziz Bilo joins me now from studios in Mogadishu. Abdulaziz, has the offensive against al-Shabaab promised by President Farmajo begun?
Well, Karen, so far so good. There's a little military movement here on the ground, other than reports that the African Union forces have amassed towards the southern part of Somalia. That is the lower Shabelle region. That will be the epicenter of the conflict. That's the only confirmation that we have regarding any military maneuvers or a movement on the ground as per the president's directive 2 weeks ago. Now, Karen, the president declared a state of war here shortly after the 14th October's deadly truck bomb that killed 358 people and injuring more than 400 others. Now, since that time, there was another attack here on the 28th of October on a high-profile hotel on the 20th of October rather, that killed 30 people. So many here on the ground are actually criticizing the government for declaring war, and on the other end, it has replaced the intelligence chief and the police commissioner, and the country has no defense minister yet. So many are asking how this will be possible with no heads of security in place, how the government of Somalia is really planning on telling the public that it's on top of the game and that security is the main priority for now. But as you have mentioned, and we have confirmed this with local authorities, slightly over 1,000 Ethiopian troops have crossed the border into Somalia at the Gedo region. This is the border between Ethiopia and Somalia, and they've come inside the country. According to the deputy governor of Gedo, he said that they came on behalf of the president's comments the other day that Somalia is indeed in a state of war. And Ethiopia was one of the countries that President Farmajo visited alongside Djibouti and Ethiopia. Those are some of the three countries with the troops here on the ground as part of the African Union mission in Somalia. But Karen, here on the ground, many are of the view that this will be the biggest offensive here in recent years, because the African Union troops are due to start a troop drawdown by the end of 2018, and many are of the view that AMISOM must eliminate the al-Shabaab before they leave the country in 2018. So for now, we're keeping tabs on this story, and we are expecting an official comment from the president and the regional leaders who are meeting here in Mogadishu on what mechanism they've put in place to ensure that security will be the issue of focus in their meeting, Karen.
And Abdulaziz, with assistance from its neighbours, Somalia has launched several unsuccessful offensives against al-Shabaab. What makes the government think it will defeat the militants this time?
Well, for one, the president here of Somalia, President Farmajo, when he was a prime minister here in 2011, he's largely credited with the efforts that he put here on the ground, and that finally saw the ouster of al-Shabaab from Mogadishu. Now the president is trying to replicate what he did here in Mogadishu across the country, and is saying that the only viable way of ensuring that the government can be able to deliver services here to the citizens all across the country is if the al-Shabaab is eradicated completely from the country. And he gave African Union forces and his top generals a 2-year ultimatum to ensure that this mission was indeed accomplished. But you're right, Karen, Somalia has launched several unsuccessful attempts here over the past couple of years. But for one, the government on the ground here hasn't yet indicated the total number of soldiers it has ready for this offensive. So for now, it will largely rely on the African Union peacekeeping mission, AMISOM, here on the ground. Uganda, for instance, has called on the African Union to ensure that the troops are well paid so that it can send 5,000 more additional soldiers to its already 6,000 troops here on the ground to bolster President Farmajo's efforts to eradicate the al-Shabaab. Now, the African Union hasn't commented on that. Now, Ethiopia, on the other end, it has over 4,000 soldiers here, and the additional 1,000 troops who are non-AMISOM soldiers have arrived here in Gedo region, and they will bolster the Ethiopian troops who are currently in 4 regions, that is Gedo, Bai, Bakol, and Hiran region. So the Ethiopian sector of AMISOM controls a large swaths of territory here in Somalia, and Somalia's president is of the view that indeed this offensive will mean a lot for his government, because it's trying to change the focus here from being a punching bag, that's the al-Shabaab's launching deadly attacks, to showing that it's indeed prioritizing security as part of the president's security mechanism here, Karen.
Okay, Abdul Aziz Bilo there in Mogadishu. Thank you very much for that update.